that's not enough, especially when you're in the earlier stages. So it's seen as kind of like a natural requirement. You have to take these sponsorships to make a living out of it, rather than being it just compared to a hobby. So some, like I did this particularly with YouTubers, and a lot of YouTubers will have like an advertisement that would have been for like either a service or a game, and it would include like, oh, clicking the link below in my description would greatly help support my channel. It's kind of that persuasive influence, basically going, you can support my channel. You have the feeling of being good. You make sure you keep doing what I do. So it's kind of guilt tripping in a sense. It's kind of like showing that they are, but the intention, if it's intentional or not, is really up for debate. And the only way we can really look at that is if there were more imposing of law on the internet, because the only law that is kind of related to this is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, also known as COPPA. And that's basically going that you cannot advertise to children under the age of 13 on the internet. And if it's content that's deemed for children and stuff like that, you physically, by law, cannot advertise to them at all. Because even if it's deemed that you are potentially advertising, you are breaking the law, your video or content will be taken down completely without hesitation. And I believe that even though we're kind of sleepwalking into oblivion here, no one's got enough of a foothold in the door to actually provide research. But I feel like once enough alarm bells have been set off, and we've kind of passed a threshold where we realize that this is a massive issue, too many instances have occurred. And it's quite hard to quantify and explain, but I think by then, when we start putting genuine attention to this topic, it kind of would have been too late.
That's me done.
Right. Anybody else have any questions?
Can I give like general critique on the presentation, or are they mostly just questions?
We'll just keep it to questions. Well,
No questions. Right.
okay.
I'd just like to take a, oh yeah, because, we'll just quickly skip through because I'd just like to take a moment of thanks. I would like to say thank you to those who took the slightest interest in my project. I'd like to thank those who read my drafts and drafts of EPQ waste, those in the room and not. And those are the people who actually gave me feedback on more of my writing style. They weren't reading it for the content. I was asking, how many spelling mistakes did I make? Did I feel like I repeated a point here rather than there? Does everything flow correctly? And that's what I believe is an incredible good strength of it as well. I'd like to thank those who showed up to watch my presentation. I'd like to thank you guys very much dearly. And I'd also like to thank those who said that they were going to, but had other obligations that they couldn't. I know you would have liked to have been here, but clearly other things have taken priority. But I'd also like to thank a few select individuals who have helped me to get here where I am today. And without them, I wouldn't be here. First of all would be my supervisor, Matt. I'd like to thank you so much for actually providing more of a bastion. Whenever I asked for feedback or suggestions, you sat there, you gave me honest and workable feedback as well, even if I chose to reject it sometimes. But either way, I had the assumption that your words were just as wiser than mine. You have a lot more experience in like guiding people through this process, and without you, I don't think I would have really been steered in the right direction. I feel like I would have spun off course a long time ago as well. I'd like to thank Joshua Squire, who is not in this room, who is going to see this in the video in a bit. Without you, without him, I don't think I would have been able to even been able to apply it to such a wider scenario. It's because me and him, we sat down and we had conversations about it when doing small things like waiting for the boss. I would also like to finally thank Sapphire Pittman. She has basically been the last bastion of support during the secondary portion of the EPQ leading up to the presentation now. Without her, I don't think I would have been able to actually get up here, have the confidence to present, because if I didn't have her as a preliminary audience, I think I would have been a nervous, anxious wreck up here, even more than I currently appear to be. But apart from that, for listening and coming in to see my presentation.